bam or kind of bam. I can never do that right anymore. StreamYard keeps messing this thing up where I can't share clips anymore. They're forcing my hand to pay, and I'm trying my best not to pay, but I think eventually one day I'll have to succumb to StreamYard and pay up. And but yeah, so welcome everyone. Welcome to the Ominus show. This is a show that talks about comics and pop culture. I am your host. My name is Elliot Rodriguez. I am a humble, independent, just starting out comic book artist based in South America. So I'm reporting to you live from Peru in South America. And so, yeah, so this is I have a really great show for you guys. I'm bringing on a big name. It's a CG King. I'm incredibly nervous. I hope it doesn't show. And yeah, if I have any mishaps, stutters, anything like that, is because I got such incredible talent on today's panel. So please bear with me, guys, in the chat. It is, yeah, I can't believe I'm going to be sharing spaces with these people. So this is awesome. And yeah, so this person, as you've seen in the thumbnail, is a creator of First Man. He's a Comicsgate king, and he's coming. He also created a core draft with my other guest. And today we're going to talk about Lilineth. And yeah, without further ado, I would like to please welcome to the stage my honored special guests, Andy Smith and Dennis Turner. What's going on, guys?
What's happening? Guys doing? Hey, so you're streaming live from Peru?
Yes.
Wow, that is insane.
Yeah.
South America. I didn't know there was going to be geography in the beginning of this. Dennis and I didn't prepare. Dennis, look quiet. South America is below us.
Yeah.
We're North America. It's South America. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Nobody else heard that, right? That was just for him.
I'm gonna hit you guys with something even more interesting. And especially for you, Andy. I used to live many years in Charlotte, so I know.
Wow.
Yeah. So I used to go when I was much younger. I used to go to Heroes Con, and Heroes Con was just the best place to be. And I haven't gone in a long time, but hopefully one day I get to go back. So yeah, I'm currently in South America, and I'm doing all my comic stuff from down here. And yeah, so this is where I'm streaming from. So yeah, so CG is global, it's international, it's not just US. No, so we're all over the place. That's and so yeah, so how are you guys doing? And I'd like to ask you guys just a few questions, just about your time in doing comics. Like how did you get into comics, Andy? Is it okay if I call you Andy? Is that
yeah,
okay?
That's fine.
How did you get into comics? How did that
come about? Call me sir or
Lord.
Boss.
Lord or boss.
You're fine with Andy. Yeah.
Awesome. And Dennis, also, could I address you?
I call Dennis Dominatrix. So
sweet. And that's
how did I get into comics? Well, I mean, as a kid, I found him when I was about 13 at a 7-Eleven convenience store going home from school one day. That I just looked down at the magazine rack. They didn't have the spinner rack, and to the lower right corner, they had, I don't know, 7 or 8 titles. And I was like, that's cool. And this one Captain America just really jumped out at me. And I looked at it and I was like, I got to have this, and just bought it. That's one of those few times. It's funny. It's like, there's those few moments in your life that you'll never forget. And that's one of them. Just telling that story, I could visually see how I was. And I kind of wish I could grab that initial excitement again, because it was just so cool. So I just started collecting them, and I always drew as a kid for a living. And once I got into comics, I was just like, this is what I want to do for a job. And went to the Kubert School for 3 years, the Joe Kubert School, and showed my portfolio up at DC, and during my 3rd year, and scored my first gig. So haven't looked back.
And was that so you were drawing before you got into comics?
Not professionally, but just for fun. Yeah, I mean, I drew all the time as a kid.
And just always superhero content, or like drawing other stuff?
No, I mean, I started off, I still like and have a love for cars, back then, hot rods, stuff like that. And I
Sweet.
still like cool cars and classic car shows. So I was actually drawing cars a lot because I collected Hot Wheels and stuff like that. And once I discovered superheroes, though, and the comics and whatnot, I just kind of switched over and started kind of copying stuff I saw in comics and trying to draw my own stuff. And yeah, that was it. Off to the races.
Awesome. And then you entered Cuber school like right after high school? Was it?
I was accepted to go in right after I graduated high school in '87, but I
Sweet.
decided to take a gap year so I could just kind of get a real job and 9 to 5 job for a year, save some money, hang out with my friends some, and the Cuber school is only 3 years. So in my mind, I was like, well, everybody else is starting school now that, I knew, and they're going for 4 years. I can take a year off and still
Yeah.
graduate when everybody else does, even, whatever. So that's what I did. Yeah.
Sweet. And Dennis, a similar question. Like, how did you get in the comics? You're currently writing Lilineth and Core Draft as like? Is this your first foray into comics, or do you have?
Core Draft. Yep, Core Draft. So Core Draft, The Reckoning was the first time I wrote professionally, and then The Awakening, obviously, and now Lilineth. The two Dungeons and Dragons modules for the Shattered Reach. Those were my first professional modules. I've been collecting comics since I was a kid. I still remember walking to a dime store, and I remember seeing E-Man, and that's what I picked up. My mom's like, "Why do you want that?" And I'm like, "It just looks cool. I wanted it." And that's what led me down into my collecting of X-Men, because it's like a drug. I got in there with E-Man, and there was some Dennis the Menace, some Dell stuff, and next thing I know, I found X-Men, and I was like, "Wait, what's that?" And I fell in love with the X-Men. So then I went crazy, and I collected X-Men, and until about 2 years ago, I've got everything they put out up till 2 years
Sweet.
ago. So
you jumped
great.
on. You jumped on during the John Byrne era, or?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. It was well, I jumped on in the 70s.
Sweet.
And
Wow.
but if I only knew then what I knew now, I would have bought all my back issues at that time. It would have been so much cheaper. Yeah, no, going back and picking up X-Men #1, that was actually my final book that I needed, was X-Men #1, and I bought a slab copy and then got it cracked open the very next weekend to get Stan Lee to sign it down in MegaCon when I was down in Florida for the convention.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, I also appraise comic books. I mean, I've been dealing with comics since I was a kid. I got a pretty good sized collection, and I enjoy reading them, and I still collect to the day. I mean, this is New Comic Wednesday. I have to find time today to sneak out and go pick up my
That's
new book.
right.
Heck
After
yeah.
I get my car.
You still have a pull list, Dennis?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Is it as extensive as it might have been years before, or has that reduced?
Well, up until 2 years ago, I would say I was about $150 a week.
Nice.
And there was a lot of good titles. I was very heavy into Marvel, X-Men, and we all know they put out a ridiculous number of X-Men titles. Plus, I collected the different covers. However, they crossed the line and they really destroyed X-Men a couple of years ago, and with the whole X-Men Green stuff, and the stories just went off the rails. They changed all my favorite characters. I just got tired. So I went in and canceled from my pull list every Marvel and DC title, and I supplemented it with independent. So I do a lot of small press ones, Vault Comics, Dynamite, Scout, a whole bunch of the smaller ones. Plus now I do a lot of Kickstarter, Indiegogo, CG, but all the campaigns online. So I still spend the same amount. I just don't give Marvel and DC my money anymore.
Sweet man. Yeah, it sucks that happened, though. But yeah, that's the state of the comics nowadays. So you would pick up issues like when they first came out and then just discard them, and you didn't keep those issues when you first got them back in the day, Dennis?
Oh no, I got them. They're still sitting over here.
some of the original ones.
Yeah, I still have
Sweet.
most of my original ones. I lost a couple of my big ones. We were going to a family reunion, and back then we could just sit in the back of a pickup truck. We had a cap on it. So we were back there with our dog going up. We went into the family reunion, and mine were all in a box. While we were in there, the dog chewed through the box and literally ate all my comic books that I had with.
Man.
So I probably had, 150 comics that went bye-bye. But
Man.
those are gone forever. But everything since, I still collect. I've gotten rid of comics twice. I've ditched the bulk of my DC collection now.
Yeah, I did that too, man, and I keep kicking myself in the butt every time I think back about it. Because my father, he's not too at the time. I mean, he's changed since, but at the time he wasn't too happy with me consistently reading comics, getting comics, and being so surrounded by them. I mean, I'd be like 18, 19. I mean, I'd have to go to work, but then I'd be reading this the latest issue of The Darkness, and my dad would get mad at me and stuff. So there was a time where like I said, okay, enough of this childish stuff. I'm going to be a man and go out there. And so one of the most idiotic things I did was get rid of my whole stash of comics. And I was like, no. I had some good issues. I had War Machine #1. I had Darkness. The first 14 issues of Spawn. 16 issues of Spawn, and a lot of great stuff there. And so it's hard. I kick myself in the butt for it, but yeah, I feel the pain for that. Yeah, I feel the pain with that. And great stuff, man. And Andy, what would you say would be your number one? Like, if someone were to say Andy Smith is known for doing this run in Marvel or DC, what title would you say would be your what you're most known for?
Probably Exo Man of War, when they did Birthquake back in 94, 95, somewhere around there, where they didn't start stuff over with number ones, but they were rebooting everything basically. And I think the first issue of that was 46. 44. My first issue was 46 because they were putting it out twice a month, so every 2 weeks. So we had to have two artists on it. So it was myself, and Bart Sears was the other artist who I knew for years before, and he was a mentor and all that. And they paired us up, obviously, because at the time our stuff was very similar in styles, and they wanted that cohesive look since it was coming out twice a month. So we would do 2 issues, and then he would draw 2, I would draw 2, back and forth. I ended up doing 10 or 11 issues, but probably Exo. Yeah.
Sweet. And like breaking into comics, like what was like one of the things that you learned quickly that this is something that I have to adapt myself to so I can make it in the industry? Is there something that I mean, we have deadlines. There's like maybe you're not fast enough. Your layouts could be not what they want. I mean,
well, you're always trying to get better. I guess the biggest thing, and this was taught at the Kubert School by Joe, is always be honest with the editor. Be honest about how much work you can produce, and make sure you meet the deadline. So if an editor's like, "Hey, I need a 20-page book and I only have 10 days. If you can't do it, don't do it." Now, I'm not saying turn the job down whole cloth. Say, look, I'll be honest with you. I want to give you my best work, put my best foot forward, because it's not only for you, but after this, other editors will see it. So I tell you, in that amount of time, I can do 10 pages, and they'll rock. They'll kick ass. So if you're willing to split the book, that's what I can do. But I would not take a job and just bang it out, because that editor might remember but at the same time, other editors, they'll just see what you put out and they don't know the circumstances. I mean, if they're in the same office, if it's a, you know, a corporate thing like Marvel or DC, they might, but you know, I wouldn't do it. And that's coming from, you know, I did that once with a job and I didn't even do full pencils. I just did what they call breakdowns. And I was still like, just after seeing how it came out, I was like, ugh, never want to do that again.
Wow.
So,
Okay, cool. So just be honest with yourself, honesty.
yeah.
And
Just know how much work you can do in a certain period of time and, you know, stick to it.
your experience in Cuber school, like you studied like all day, is that, or is it just like a
Yeah, the
few
Kubert school, when people would ask
semesters?
about it, because, you know, the bulk of my friends went to regular college. And, you know, regular college, it's like, what do you have today? And Dennis probably can attest to this. It's like, what class do you have today? Oh, I got one class. It's not till 2 o'clock. What about tomorrow? Oh, I got two classes, one in the morning, one at night. So it's
Yeah.
all over the place. And the Kubert school, I always said was like high school because it was 8:30. I'm going by memory, so I'm a little off, but it was basically 6 hours plus 45 minutes for lunch, if I remember right. So say 8:30 to maybe 2:30. No, because that's only 6 hours. Maybe 8:30 to 3, and there's a half hour for lunch. That sounds right. And then we have one class in the morning for like, you know, 2 hours, 45 minutes, you know, lunch. And unlike at least my high school, obviously it's art college. You can go wherever you want. It's not like you had to stay there. And then you had another class in the afternoon, and then you had roughly 5 hours, 6 hours of homework every night. So it was a grind. But, you know, when I interviewed with Joe Kubert to go to the school, you know, Joe said straight up, he goes, in 3 years, we'll pack in 10 years worth of stuff,
Wow.
you know, in 3 years. So,
and like the topics of in those classes, like you go over like line weights, proportions, perspective,
well,
layouts, all kinds of things like that, or
I mean, in first year, it's a 3-year school, and a few of the classes you have every year. So you'll have figure drawing 1, figure drawing 2, figure drawing 3. So you have it every year, once a week.
Sweet.
And then you'll have classes like in first year, we had a class on lettering. That's just 1 year, one and done.
Wow.
You know, you're good at it. I mean, anybody could probably become good at it if they practice enough, but you don't really need more than a year on lettering. And that was hand lettering back then, not, you know, on a computer and stuff.
So you can technically do your
design class, painting, stuff like that. So
you could technically
storytelling.
sweet. So you could technically do your own lettering if you liked.
No, my hand lettering is awful, but I know how to letter on the computer, so I can do it that
Yeah.
way, but I still don't. I'm not as good,
Sweet.
you know. It takes me a little while. I don't know all the tricks, bells and whistles, so I still rather have somebody do it.
Yeah, sweet, awesome. And there's this thing, you know, that people saying that now schools, art schools, are not really necessary too much because most of the things that they teach you can learn online. Do you have a similar opinion with that? What's your take on that?
I think it comes down to the person. Some people aren't self-motivated enough to go, okay, I'm going to open up, you know, let's say YouTube, or go take a class, you know, because there's so many different classes you can take online. They're just not, they just don't have that drive to do that. And they need that structured environment of, you know, and it's whether you're taking classes online or going into a place like I did, you know, if you had one, as soon as somebody pays for something, especially if you have to pay for it yourself, you realize most people realize I'm not going to screw this up because it's your investment, you know. 2, if there's a schedule, like, you know, at the Kubert school, got to be here at 8:30 every morning, you know, whatever. And then plus you had to keep up a certain grade average or they'd kick you out. And if you're 1 year, and if you're taking classes online, you at least have a schedule in regards to this is when it is. So, you know, you have to be there. but it's still, it comes down to how motivated you are. If you think you can do it all through like YouTube and stuff like that, because the other thing is there's no feedback that way. You know, it was so important to have that feedback from the instructors at the school. And yes, there are classes online you can take, of course, where you do get feedback, but it might not be immediate, and it might be in the form of a message you type out and you go back and forth, which is really different. To me, not as good either. So, you know, if in the gap year, put it this way, when I took my gap year, if it was now and I had all these tools available, the digital stuff, everything available now, I would have done a lot in my gap year when I got off work at night and I would have done it to kind of prep myself to be better going to the school. However, if I did that for a year, who knows? I might have been like, let me just submit samples now and see what happens. You know what I mean? So, you know, if you have the ability to take like a gap year like that, if you're just graduating high school and wanting to do this, maybe go that route first. And if it's not working for you, then go to school, because the gap year, you know, all the stuff online, or 80% of it or so, is free, you know, YouTube and whatnot. So
yeah, definitely. I was blown away by everything I had access to. You know, you see people drawing, just a simple act in my case. You know, seeing people drawing, I can see what they do, how they do it, and I try to emulate that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, feedback is incredibly important, because if you don't, you don't get
totally.
it, and you're never going to improve. Awesome, sweet stuff, man. And Dennis, how did you prepare to write? Like, what would you consider like the preparation for writing, for chord draft and stuff like that? I mean, because the thing about writers is that people think they write, they're exposed to writing. Some people take classes, but I mean, writing for comics is different than writing novels, writing screenplays. Like, how would you consider your preparation?
Issue, right? That's the issue right there. So, you know, I mean, I'm used to writing. I've been writing prose and shorts and stuff like that for a long time. I'm a D&D player, even going all the way back to junior high school, and that's how some of this all kind of flowed in. Even in college, I didn't go for writing. I was a radio, TV, film, and business major. So, you know, this was not up my alley, but I have been doing, you know, a lot of writing and for other stuff. And then Andy and I were talking one day, and he goes, hey, he started bouncing some ideas. He goes, would you want to write my next book? And I'm like, dude, writing a script for a TV show or writing a script for a movie, it's completely different than writing for comic books. And he goes, yeah, you got to learn.
Yeah. So, and I said, here's some resources you can learn from. And
yep, I bought a bunch of books. I sat down and read them. He gave me scripts, actual scripts from comics. And it is because I have a tendency to write more for like a screenplay, because the action's always moving. So you can just describe the action, you know, moving in, what's happening in a scene. Here, everything's a freeze frame in time, you know, and you have to do it whenever there's a change of movement. That's not something you can just pick up on. I mean, it took my first run at the script. Needless to say, I started over from scratch. It was way too big and too convoluted. And that's the other thing. I've got a story to tell, and I'm used to just being able to tell the story from A to Z. Well, here we have a very limited number of pages in which to do it. And every time you make a change, so, you know, we wound up breaking it up into what we're doing now. But it was a huge learning process going into it. So but in the end, it is what it is.
Awesome. And so you guys getting together just came about with Andy just asking you like, hey, for example, like Andy, have you ever read any of his stuff beforehand before working on our chord draft?
No, actually.
How did you guys come together?
We had that's a good question, and I will tell you that is the first time anybody's asked that question.
It is on all these interviews.
It is. So no, I
Trying to get some
didn't,
exclusives. Yeah.
but I knew he wrote stuff. I knew what type of passion he had for this type of material from being friends. I knew just listening to him talk about stories and stuff. He knew, how to craft a story. So it was basically, to me, it's just the format change, and not just the way you format, obviously, your page for writing, but like Dennis said, when you write a movie screenplay, you can say, the guy, scene one, the guy runs across the room, grabbing his gun off the kitchen table as he makes his way for the, window. And, you can write that differently. Like that could be written directly like that for a panel, but I might go, I'll break that into a few panels and stuff. Whereas, for comics, depending on the way you work, and Dennis does full script, you would break it down more to where, the guy enters the room, he looks over to the kitchen table, runs over, grabs his gun, and just explains it in panels and stuff. So yeah, I mean, the first one he wrote, I went through and I was like, okay, we need to, just revise here, or whatever. But, he's got a good handle on it now. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, when it came to like First Man, my friend that I worked with on that to help write it. Now I did know his writing background and stuff and read stuff that he's written, but he hadn't written a lot of stuff. And I was still like, hey, you want to, help do First Man with me? And he was like, yeah. So I don't know. I just get a sense for somebody. I mean, it was either Dennis, or if he said no, I probably would have went up to the homeless guy we passed on the street before I asked him. Picked him, said, hey, buddy, come out from your refrigerator box. I got to ask you something.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, sweet. I got you. And I was gonna ask, like, how come? Because First Man, I first heard about you, from First Man, like at least in the CG space, from First Man. How come that hasn't continued, or do you have plans to continue that series?
Well, it hasn't continued just because I'm not fast enough to do 2 projects at one time. Okay. So that's one reason. And 2, after the second one, this is when Dennis and I came up with Core Draft. I just wanted to go in a different direction.
Okay.
I want to do more First Man, and as part of the Lilineth campaign, I did put together a new, what I like to call epic 90s action-filled First Man story that's in a self-contained book. It's basically 8-page First Man story, then it's 8 pages of the pencils, and then it's the 8 pages of the inks scanned in, so you can see the whole process in a 28-page book and have a fun little 8-page story as well.
Yeah, I saw that. I think that's in Lilineth's big box.
It comes in her First Man does come in Lilineth's big beautiful box.
Yeah, big beautiful box.
And then you can get it as an add-on as well.
Yeah, there it is.
So
sweet, awesome. Yeah. And so yeah, I was gonna ask you guys. So I was gonna ask you, like, if you guys work more Marvel method, like he just pitches an idea, but you just told me that he does a full script, like he does a full script from. Okay.
Yeah, we talk about the story and stuff first, so I know, what the story is going to be. But then after that, he'll write it, and then I'll read it, and any notes or questions, we get on a call, kind of like this. Actually, instead of just over the phone, we will do a video call like this, and we'll go through it, page by page, and if there whatever revisions, he'll make them, and then I'll reread it, and and it's always can be. It's a fluid thing, so it can be moving and changing even while I'm working on it, which is nice compared to Marvel and DC, because you get a script for Marvel and DC, 3 or 4 pages in, you're not calling up the editor going, hey, or if you know the writer and talk to the writer, you're not really contacting them going, hey, I'd like to, what do you think if we change this or this? Because it's corporate. The thing's already been approved by the editors as well, and maybe higher up, so they're not going to be like, oh yeah, let's change that.
Sweet. And has there been
Andy will call and he'll be like, hey dude, I'm on this page and you've got X, Y, and Z going on here. And he goes, that's cool. But what if I did this instead. And he would turn it and I would go, yeah, that would work great because, it doesn't affect anything in the storyline. It actually emphasizes this particular point we're trying to get across. But we sit down and talk it out and, but there's just no issues. I don't know if we've ever sat down and ever disagreed on something. We may come at it from two different angles and talk it out, but that's the one nice thing. We either get on a stream like this and talk and go through it, or normally I'm there on Wednesdays because we normally do the streams from his office and from his studio. So we'll be there together. And like last time, we went over the script and we made a few notes and some things that maybe we wanted to look at. I went through and revisited it. I mean, it's just it's a great way to do it. And it allows so much more freedom and really allows a great product in the end versus having to be rigid and just stick to what was given to you.
Yeah. And I mean, if there is a big disagreement, I'll just be like, hold on, I'll be right back. And I walk out and I come back in. And instead of wearing this hat, it says EIC, editor in chief. And I go, hello, Dennis. I was told the editor in chief was needed to make the final decision on whatever disagreement you're having. And once again, almost as always, it goes Andy's way. And he's
That's
like,
sweet.
It's almost like it's rigged. And I'm like, nope, I'll be right back. And I come back with my astonishing hat on and go, hope everything's settled with editor in chief. Let's get to work.
I try and do the Rochambeau method and I go first, but that never seems to work out so well for Andy.
It doesn't.
Sweet. Awesome. And the designs for the characters, you guys working on Core Draft, like the design for Core Draft, the design for Lilineth, all that stuff. Do you guys work on that together, or is that 100% Andy?
Yeah, no, 100%. It's a collaborative effort in regards to talking, just like you said, talking about the characters. And then he'll write a description up for me to draw from. And sometimes then this is great. He'll load up a folder of like inspirational type reference just to, give some visual cues of what he's thinking. And sometimes I use them, sometimes I don't. But, before I put ink on anything, I do the sketch and, character sketch and show it to him first. So it gets nailed down before I put any ink on the character design stuff I do.
So
Sweet.
Elliot, one of the things we do, like any of the main characters that I create, I do 100 question. It's a sheet that I do on it. And it's all about their background, their physical appearance, their family, their history, quirks that they have, strong points, weak points, interactions with other people. So I create these questions so it fleshes out an entire character. And then I build a description of that character, in there. And then I give Andy the physical description of the character. And then he takes his magic and takes what I've written and turns it into, the characters that you see on the page. And the great thing is, probably 95% of the time, what I kind of envision is what a person would look like. Andy will get them done. He'll be like, dude, what do you think? And I'll look at him. I'm like, that is really close to exactly what I was thinking. So, it just works out well. But, I give Andy a lot of material to work with, and he gives me some awesome stuff in return.
Sweet. How does it feel like getting to work with a pro and then getting that artwork back and taking a look at that for the first time? Because this is like also your creation that you're bringing out. So how does that feel?
It is. It's an amazing feeling because it's kind of like when you play Dungeons and Dragons. You create a character, you role play through it, and you always have this envision of what he looks like. Well, now you're actually seeing your characters in the story actually come to life on a page in a story that was crafted. So yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. And when just like that cover you're showing right now, Andy goes, dude, I got an idea, because he does an homage cover for every one of the books. And
Sweet.
We had done Conan #1 homage for Core Draft 1, Conan #2 homage for Core Draft 2. Well, this one came up and he goes, I know exactly. And he showed it to me, and dude, it was exactly what I was thinking. And it was so cool because as soon as he popped this one out, amazing. And I was like, there it is. That is exactly what I was thinking. So yeah, it's a great feeling.
And what made the decision, or what gave you guys the decision, or the influence to say that we're going to do a Lilineth book? Why that character and not Adriana or somebody else in Core Draft?
The feedback from the customers. So
Okay.
most of the people in the chat and stuff, we do a fair number of shows. So
Yeah.
they'll come and talk to us in person. They'll message. We'll see them out in the wild, and then and then in the chats on our shows, they'll sit there and look. So many people had this interest because they're like, we understand Cordrath, his tribe, Adriana, her tribe. We understand some of the dynamics now in your world building, but she's an enigma. She's a demon from somewhere, but where? And why is she so different from the other characters? And what's her motivation and stuff? And they really wanted an answer. So we did an adjacent yet tied in book to 1 and 2, and it will tie into obviously the end of 2 and the beginning of Cordrath 3. And that's why Lilineth came up, because she lives in the one of the 666 layers of the abyss, and they're in an eternal war with the 9 layers of hell. And why would she get rounded up to be sent to the prime material plane in order to come to the Shattered Reach? That's what this is all about.
Sweet, awesome stuff. Yeah, feedback from the fans and everything. That's like it's essential, super important. And one of the great things of like working in CG and with just comics in general, know that you get direct feedback and contact from the fans that support us. So that's always great. And yeah, I got an issue like that with one of my characters that I had original plans for him. But with all the feedback, I have to make a course correction, because otherwise everybody's going to kick me in the butt. But yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I was almost forgetting the people in the chat. What's going on to everyone in the chat? We got Pityma. She's a regular. Dropping the links.
Awesome.
She is awesome.
Heck yeah. And yeah, the link, by the way, for the people in the chat is pinned at the top of the chat. So please be sure to get yourself a copy of Lilineth. And yeah, man, say what's up to Dennis. Nicholas is here. Randy, what's going on, guys? Scott's in the chat. He says, I'm still befuddled that lettering is a job. It's writing correctly. Maybe that's just the difference in schooling. I'm all shocked that many Americans struggle with what they call cursive.
I will say, taking a class on it for a year, you do understand that it's more than just sitting down with your pen and a piece of paper and printing, because it's obviously printed, it's not cursive. It is a ton more than that, and it's hard. I mean, that's the thing. I did it for a year, and I wasn't anywhere near professional. Whereas the guy that does all of the lettering for Cordrath, First Man, all the books put out, is Steve Dutro, who I went to the Kubert School with, and he didn't go there thinking he was going to be a letterer. He went there because he wanted to be a cartoonist, and he's a really good artist, but he just fell in with lettering and he likes doing it, and he's really good at it. So
yeah, it's not easy at all. None of comic book making is easy.
No.
Inking, lettering, coloring is super difficult. I tried doing that, and I was like, no, that's not for me. I'll leave it to people that are more skilled to do that. Yeah, Marcus is in the chat also. He's driving to Charleston, South Carolina. Sweet. Marcus is also from Charlotte. So
yes, he is.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And yeah, Pityma's got a question. She says, what gave you the idea for Cordrath? I don't know if you guys want to answer that.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we first started talking, I asked him if he wanted to collaborate on a book. He's like, what type? And I said, well, with what you like to write about, and I've drawn it somewhat, before my past, something fantasy, barbarian related. And I kind of just left it there. And we spitball some stuff back and forth too, because it was either his idea. It might've been mine. I know the look was his idea, but basically I said, I don't want him to be just by himself, and I don't want him to have a partner, kind of like a Batman and Robin thing or whatever. I said, I want to draw basically what I always tell people when they go, why did you want to draw comic books? And I go, because I want to draw big dudes and hot chicks.
Your exact wording was, I don't want to draw the Justice League. And I was like,
that's true too. I don't want to draw a team book. That's for damn sure.
Yep. But yeah, my wheelhouse was I'm a sci-fi guy. I'm a World War II guy. I love fantasy, and I mean, there's a lot of things. But Andy was like, I want to draw something that I've kind of drawn, and he goes, something in that realm. I don't want to deal with the current cities. I don't want to draw the New York landscape. Fantasy just made the most sense. And I mean, it's something that's right up my alley that I'm working with, and that's how we talked about doing the book itself. And then we started talking about tying in a module so you could read the book, play the game, and it just kind of spawned as we were spitballing. This was all on the way to a convention, and then we talked throughout the convention over the weekend, and that's what this spawned, because we usually ride together to go to cons.
Sweet. And so you guys have plans to like make this into like a tabletop game also?
Well, we already have a couple game modules out, so
Sweet.
Dennis can expound on that.
Yeah, I actually got here. I'll pull them out. I've got physical copies. So for those of you that play, the first one was Mayhem in the Mirador Mountains. This is the. It's got the old map, just like these are retro. So it's designed pretty much like after anybody who played D&D in the late 70s, 80s.
Wow.
I mean, your modules came out. So, we've got everything listed in there. And then that was the first one. And then the second one we did was Ivan did something a little different. So these are in the same colors as the original D&D box sets that they released. So this was the expert set color. And you can see the Bart Sears right there. His artwork with Dan Lawless on the colors. And then, there's the internal map, very much like the maps of the period. I came up with something really cool. It's the player's map. So for those of you that role play, you'll know this is the same map on the inside, minus all the secret doors, the hidden stuff. And because not everybody likes to map as they go, so I came up with the idea of why not do that. And then, you can just go in and take a look. That's gaming. Sweet. So a D&D, you can grab this and you can play it with 2, 3, 4, 5 of your friends. And all using 5th edition rules. And most of the DMs out there, they're worth their salt. Some of them don't play 5th edition. Well, it doesn't take much to convert the monsters into 2nd or 3rd edition or 4th or whatever you're playing.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's insane. It's great to break out into other things like that. That's awesome. Great stuff, man. And Andy, how did you get into CG? Changing.
I was just it was like 5 years ago, I think.
Sweet.
It was 5 years ago, and I was pretty much starting to do my own stuff, and I was running a Kickstarter at the time. And I've known Ethan for I met him in the early 2000s, so at that time, almost 20 years. Sweet. And we would talk at conventions, sat next to him a few times at conventions and stuff, and then through social media we chatted and whatnot. And I messaged him like I was messaging lots of people saying, "Hey, I'm doing this thing. Check it out, blah, blah, blah." And he wrote back and was like, "Dude, you should come over here. Have you heard of this and that?" And I'm like, "Nope." And, he gave me a little background and told me, I didn't even know what Indiegogo was, told me about that, gave me the whole background on, CG and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, that sounds freaking cool.
Yeah.
So after that first campaign ended, I think I might've ran it on Indiegogo as well. I'd have to check. It's been so long, just for a short period of time. But my next campaign, which was First Man, I jumped over, did it there, and, became a part of this awesome community. And it really is, because I've met so many people, and so many people are so nice with reaching out like you did about, streaming and stuff, and just the fans' interaction online on most X. But then when I go to conventions, I don't go to, Dennis can attest, because we go to the same shows, obviously, to set up our stuff. You meet somebody from the community at every show.
Sweet.
And you usually are like, they'll come up and be like, I'm so and so, and you're like, what's your screen name? And they say, oh yeah, okay, cool, So yeah, it's great, and that's pretty much how it went down.
Awesome. Because Ethan came in to see you from just because he was blacklisted for his political opinions. Is that a similar case with you, or did you make a decision to say I'm not doing this stuff?
No, I mean, so the last stuff I did for DC was probably 2012, 13, I think. And then I did some stuff with Bart Sears again for Ominus Press, which was a company he created in the early 90s that we tried to bring back with a couple other people. And, unfortunately, it just, timing, management, whatever you want to call it, didn't work out. And I just saw, this is where I got the idea to do the first campaign on Kickstarter. I saw other people I know doing more of their own stuff. And I turned 50 in 2019, and I was just like, man, I'm not getting any younger. Looking in the mirror, looking at the bags under my eyes, going, I'm not getting any younger. I could be in the ground before you know it. And but seriously, I just thought I should try and do my own stuff, because I don't want to be in my 70s or 60s, whatever, where it could be too late and go, darn it, I should have tried and never did. So that was it. Basically, I just figured, might as well give it a shot. So
you're talking about like giving a shot with your own characters versus having to draw constantly for Marvel and DC. So you were, I'm assuming that you were getting tired of or not, or you were not happy with what with the work situation with DC or Marvel.
Well, I mean, at the time, I don't buy a lot of the stuff anymore they put out anymore, and if I do, it's because of the artist usually, but just the direction their stuff was going too, not just story wise, but some visual stuff. Marvel leaning in heavy with like costumes, not exactly stuff, from the movies, but more stuff on them design wise, and I was just like, oh, that's not superheroes. And then the writing part of it too, they were just trying to get too realistic, where it was like, I always use the example of, when I was a kid, I'd pick up an issue of Avengers, and Jarvis was like in the kitchen with his tea and stuff that he just made, and then a few Avengers would stroll into the kitchen in full costume, right? And I'm like, this is comics. Why would they be in costume for no reason? I'm like, because it's comics. And then I'm reading books, once again, buying them because I like the art. Stuart Immonen and Brian Michael Bendis on like Avengers, and you could almost say it was the exact same scene where the Avengers are just hanging out around the mansion, but because we got to be more real world, Cap's in a t-shirt and jeans, Thor's wearing whatever clothes, and I'm just looking at this scene, and I could show it to like anybody and go, who are these characters? And they'd be like, well, I don't know. And then I could show them the one from like my youth where they're in costume in the kitchen hanging with Jarvis for breakfast. I'd be like, who are these characters? And they'd be like, well, that's Captain America. That's that. And it's just cooler. It's freaking comic. I didn't want to draw that boring shit.
That's true. Yeah, that's definitely true.
And then I wanted to get back to my stuff, First Man and stuff like that. So
sweet. That's awesome. Yeah, I always get a kick out of those double page spreads where like the Avengers were Fantastic Four, like at the Baxter Building, everybody's just chilling out, just talking, conversing, and they're all fully costumed out.
Yeah, they're all costumed up and stuff. I mean, I think now I'm trying to remember if in the issue of the Avengers where Hank Pym and Janet got married, Dennis, you might remember. I remember a splash page before the wedding where a bunch of heroes were hanging out. Honestly, I want to say they were in costume. Dennis, you know what I'm talking about?
No, not off the top of my head.
Well, either way, if they were in costume, awesome, because it's like before a wedding. And if they weren't in costume, that one instance probably didn't bother me because I'm like, yeah, they're going to a wedding. So if they were in suits and stuff. Sweet. But point is, I kind of subscribe to the 2/3, 1/3 rule in a way. And what I mean by that is if I'm drawing a Superman book, I want Superman in costume for 2/3 of that book and Clark Kent for 7 pages. And if it's a monthly book, every, once or twice a year, if it's flipped and it's a Clark Kent centric story where he's 2/3 and Superman's a third, I don't have a problem with that because it comes out on a monthly basis. But when I start seeing boring stuff going on in this decompressed storytelling where, you take an issue of like the Avengers from the 80s or an issue of Captain America that I was really buying in the 80s. Nowadays, that one issue that was 20 pages or 21 pages, they would stretch it out over like 2 to 3 issues. And it's just like, oh my God.
Oh, man. That's horrible.
Hey, we just got to give a shout out. Tartan Ninja.
Yeah, I was
in the thing. He is he's our colorist. And
yes,
he's the one who he colored that incredible splash page. I always wind up putting an awesome 2-page spread in there for Andy to have to draw every book.
Yeah, they have to be in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and Tartan's doing it, and it just he nailed it. I thought it was fantastic.
See, I was gonna jump to him also because I wanted to find out like how did you guys get into contact with Tartan? He's a great guy. He's been in the community for a long time. Great art. How did
he can correct me on this, but I know that I did a pit drawing for one of my weekly time-lapse drawing videos. And God, I hope I'm right about this. I think I'm pretty sure he colored it.
Yeah.
And just for fun. And he just downloaded the JPEG and colored it. God, if I'm wrong and somebody else did, that's going to be hilarious. So either way, if that is the case, I remember seeing it going, that's really awesome. Or if that's not how it happened, it was literally, I follow him, he follows me. I see stuff he posts on Twitter and I'm like, that's really cool. And I just reached out to him and was like, direct message and said, what do you call, do you have time? I'm doing this new project, blah, blah, blah. And, it all just worked out. And I think I gave him something to color first and said, let's just see how it looks and we'll go from there. And it looked great. And we went from there.
Sweet.
So,
yeah, I saw some of his artwork. He did a really good Nexus piece. He also did some really good coloring for he also does coloring for like for free, no, like for fun. He did coloring for some of the Ripperverse characters. I saw like Air July, Isom and Alpha Core artwork. He does great work. And he did Pit several times also. Yeah, good stuff.
And by the way, I'm correct. Marcus says they all were in costume for Yellow Jacket and Wasp's wedding. So there you go.
Sweet. Yeah,
that's right. That is freaking comic books. I'm not going to like. I'll be honest. If I was at a movie, the current Avengers, not current, but before Endgame Avengers, and it was literally, the sun comes up. It's a long shot of the compound, and the sun rises, and then you cut inside, and alarms go off, and maybe throughout the mansion you see different people of the team wake up, from their bed, right? And then the next scene, you cut to, somebody in the kitchen making coffee, right? And then literally the breakfast is getting laid out by, let's say there was a real Jarvis in the movies, a butler laid out. And then it's first thing in the morning. They just got up and they all come prancing out in their costumes. I mean, if the next scene wasn't then saying something like, all right, we got to go on patrol, which is goofy, or all right, we got to go take care of this. Then, if that was the next scene, I'd be like, oh, it makes sense. But if the next scene was like, sweet, you want to go catch that football game on TV? I might be like, why are you wearing costumes? But that's a movie.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I was thinking of X-Men. You were talking Yellow Jacket and Wasp. And X-Men went the other way when Jean and Cyclops got married. She was in her white gown. He was in his tux. Storm was in a dress. And, that wasn't just the cover. It was the interiors as well. They had them, at the wedding. And if I remember right, something happens. And, of course, they have to go in a costume. But during the wedding, they really were all in just plain old street clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which once again, it's a wedding,
Yeah, unique take. Yeah, sweet. And we're coming up on the hour, and I'm gonna have to close, in just a second here. And I wanted to get your opinion also, Andy. Like in CG, we're seeing a lot of new talent, new people coming into to the CG space. What advice do you have for all of these young, for these hot shots or these new people, new talent coming into CG, myself included? Like, what advice would you have for all of us?
I mean, if you're just starting out, it's definitely a lot tougher because you don't have the background behind you like a lot of us do. 34 years in the business. Graham Nolan's 40 plus years.
Heck yeah.
Ethan's been in for 30. Stuff like that. So if you're new to it, the only way to really get out and engage fans from your house is through social media and YouTube and stuff. So just work on building out your channel, letting people get to know you, be authentic, because you can tell when somebody's just putting on an act. And I shouldn't say the audience can tell when somebody's putting on an act and they're just full of crap. So just talk about stuff you like. It all goes back to just being honest with yourself. And then when it comes to doing the work, just, another thing, be honest with yourself on how much you can get done, when you can get it done, and stuff like that. So
sweet. Awesome. And I'm really sorry. I had meant to give more time for this, but because but I was so fascinated just chatting with you guys.
No, it's okay.
If you can tell us like what we have here on the campaign.
Yeah, of course. So basically, Lilineth, Infernal Conflict, we explain the story. Lilineth goes back home to the Abyss where there's an eternal, infernal, and ongoing war. And we learn more about her backstory, how she became the badass succubus bitch that she is, the warrior woman, and why she was sent to the Shattered Reach to deal with what's going on up there with Kordrath, the Necronite, and stuff. We've got 3 different main covers. Cover A is myself. Cover B is the homage cover by me. Cover C is the fantastic John Malin cover. And what we're looking at here is the collector's box where 2 exclusives come in the box. That is the black and white version of John's cover and an exclusive bookmark. You also get the 2-inch Lilineth figure, the black and white edition of the book, and of course, the new First Man story I did, all in a beautiful Lilineth box that is mailed inside another box so it does not get messed up. And that is nice. A nice discount of, I can't remember how much the discount is. It's a good discount. But that is the featured tier. Oh, yeah, it's like 17% off. So you're saving money there. And then, take your time. The link is being posted. Scroll through. You'll see nice full-size images of the various covers, which you can buy separately. They're all add-ons as well. So if you want to buy my cover and John's cover, you can do that. We have tiers with all 3 covers at a discount. And then we have a tier where it's the 2 main covers by me and the black and white edition of the book, which is also discounted. And, of course, the retro edition of the book, which is limited to 150 copies, 100 copies available just on the campaign. We're holding 50 back to obviously sign and sell at conventions and websites, but there will be no more than 150 of these made on newsprint, flatter color. Tart Ninja's also doing that. He's doing a fantastic job with the throwback style. Sweet. And it comes with a certificate of authenticity that I created. And like I said, all the books will be signed. And these are the only ones that are signed. So we used to sign the books, but then some people would be like, well, I didn't want it signed. And I get it. I'm kind of in that camp when it comes to books. I'm neither really here nor there. But if you were to ask, I'd be like, oh, you're asking. That's cool. No, you don't have to. So this is the only one that's signed and numbered. So, yeah, Sweet. Go check it out and give it a backing. Let's go. I am working on pages daily, and I will send out updates as I can with new art that doesn't spoil anything.
Yeah, that's always difficult. I'm trying to like get such a really good page, but then you got to hold it off until the right time.
That's right.
That sucks. Yeah. So yeah, the link, guys, in the chat is pinned to the top. So please be sure to get yourself a copy of that. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you very much. Thank you very much for humbling my channel with your presence. It means a lot because yeah, you know, I mean, I see you guys all the time on Comics Gate Kings, on the professionals and stuff like that, and you never think I get a chance to hang out with you guys. So thank you very much for your
Of
time.
course.
And
And Dennis, I would just like to note Elliot being so sincere and thanking us like that.
mhm.
When we sign off the DNA show, I would think after 4 years of doing it, you would look at me at the end of every show and go, and Andy, thank you very much for letting me hang out and be with you and all this. You never do it. And I'm going to have to go walk out, come back in with the editor-in-chief hat, big boss man hat, and lay down the law.
I look forward to seeing that hat.
Okay.
That sounds awesome. So that'll be it for today, guys. I'll be back tomorrow. This week I'm full streaming. I'll be back tomorrow to do my solo show and just give you some updates on my campaign on Ominus. We are nearing the closeout. The closeout is on August 29th. So you have roughly like 2 weeks and some change to get your book. So get it. And also tomorrow I'm making a big announcement for closeout. So tune in to hear what that's all about. And then on Friday I'm going to come back again with Ben Soto. He was on Comics Gate Live last week, I think it was, and he showed off Cephas on FundMyComic. So we'll be talking about that. And yeah, man. So just doing the thing, promoting, spreading the word, and and I got to draw, so I got a lot of stuff to draw.
That's right.
But yeah, so thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Thank you to you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great.
Long and prosperous.
Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I don't know how to close this out. Wait, stupid StreamYard. Yeah, okay, guys. I'll close out with this, and then I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time. Let's see. I think this is it.